Now we've got folks joining here. I'm just going to get my screen set up, get everything up and going here. If you're joining, go ahead and take advantage while you're waiting for us to start here, which we're going to do so a little bit early while we're waiting. What is your favorite new product in the last 10 years? Throw that into the chat that you see there. Think about any product, doesn't have to be educational. What's your favorite new product? Throw that into the chat because we're going to be talking about new things in here. And I want to see what some of these responses are. AI, video activities. Oh, some of you are saying what's your favorite new product from that we have. That's great. Love it. But don't think about just what's new from TCI. What's a new product that you really love personally? Like, for example, I love I love this ginger ale that I found in Michigan called Verner's Ginger Ale. It's not new, but it's new to me, and I love it. It's like one of my favorite things. So, what's new to you, or a new product that you absolutely love? Let's say last 10 years. Magic School Bus, Canvas, Perplexity, lots of things being shared. New coffee maker. Lori loves her new coffee maker. A new air fryer. Love it, love it, love it. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So again, my name is Brian Thomas. I'm a learning designer here at TCI. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. Derek, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm lucky to have one of our great software Imagineers with us here at TCI. Derek, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, everybody. My name is Derek, and I work on the product team at TCI, and I manage a lot of these products that you're about to see. So, yeah, excited for you guys to see these new updates.
We are really excited. Derek and his team do amazing work based on your all's feedback, and we have added a lot that's new over the past year, and that's what we're going to be covering even into the summer, and some things that are going to be coming up too as well. Just as a reminder for housekeeping, if you have banter's great for chat. That's great for sharing your reactions and tips and stuff like that. But if you have a specific question, make sure that you're using the Q&A for that. Derek will alert me if there's a question that he feels like everyone needs to hear, and then we'll take some time to be able to answer those. We'll also make sure that we pause frequently as we go through. And as you're chatting, make sure that when you chat that you're sharing with everyone, not just panelists and hosts. So make sure that that chat is going to everyone that's there. Now, my opener question was about products, and you all listed quite a few of those. Some of them were related to education. A lot of them weren't, and that's great. What's your favorite feature of the online? And I should insert TCI resources. So if there's a favorite feature that you have as a returning TCI user, what is it? Raina said the slide decks, and Kathleen says lesson games, the highlighting the main idea viewer, video activities and review checks. All of these things that you see being listed here in the chat are a direct result from feedback from you, from teachers who've clamored for these things to be included into their program. And you are so vital to that. You give us the energy and you give us the ideas. And then people like Derek, they make it happen. And so we're going to get into what's newest of new and what those features would be, because we've been busy as beavers doing this. Now, what we're going to be covering over the next 50 minutes or so is we're going to look at 3 different buckets of things that are new. New interactions and accessibility tools, new assignable content that we've included in all the programs, and streamlined grading, which you're going to get some updates for and see live today, but they're going to be live for you I think tomorrow, Derek, or very soon, right? The streamlined grading is going to go live for everyone. So we're going to go over these, but I want to make this a little bit more choose your own adventure style. So I'm going to let you order me where to go here. we've got 3 buckets that we can jump into. Any one of these buckets first, and then we'll come back and we'll do the other 2. But bucket 1, we've got a list of things that are new around new interactions and accessibility tools. Bucket 2, we have new assignable content. And bucket 3 is that streamlined grading. Where do you want me to begin? You're going to vote with your own little chat, throw them in there. Where do you want me to go ahead and start? And Derek, I want you to just kind of go through the chat there and give me like where do you see the numbers coming in?
For sure. I'm seeing a lot of ones.
A lot of ones. Well, that's easy enough. Let's go to 1. And we'll start with the new interactions and accessibility tools that are here. Now, each of these items have been turned on and they're all live right now. I'm going to go through and I'll model each of them and share just a little bit. Some are a little bit faster than others for me to be able to do, but I'll start from the top and I'll kind of work my way down here to the bottom. So the first one that we're going to take a look at is adjustable text-to-speech. This is something that is active in all K-12 programs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click see it. We're going to go live and take a look at it. When your students are reading the online text, they now have 2 different speeds, a normal speed, and I'm going to make sure I've got my sound on here for this so that you can hear it. I've got, all right,
The
sound on.
American Revolution. How did the colonists win the American Revolution? Introduction. From 1775 to 17.
So that is normal speed. Now, if I have a student who is perhaps an emerging reader, or they just need to work at a little bit more methodical pace, what we can do is have them toggle into slow speed. And when we click into, let's say, another portion of text and hit read,
1883. The colonists fought the British to win their independence.
let me stop it and then hit play.
The American Revolution. How did the colonists win the American Revolution?
And we can see that
Introduction.
it's a
From
slower pace
1775 to
that students now have.
1783, the colonists fought the British.
Now, if you are K-5, whether it's social studies or science, doesn't matter. If you are K-5, you actually have one other option, and that is the ability to have the text in a human voice. What Google's gotten a lot better in terms of being able to read the text on the screen, but a lot of elementary teachers, they like to have that natural voice. Just keep in mind the normal and the slower speed, that works just on the computer generated audio that we hear. So if you need to hear that, and currently your students are just hearing the human voice, just make sure you go to settings and on student features down here under text read aloud. And again, this is only for K-5, only for K-5. You're going to switch from narration into text to speech and just make sure that you click update. Now, once you do that, you then will see exactly what I showed right here. You'll see a little play button with a toggle that students can use to move between slow and normal. Derek, I'm going to stop right there to see if there's any questions that people have over that feature that that I should talk about, or maybe even you answer as well.
Let's see. I think somebody had mentioned if you could preset the speed for the students to either be slow or normal. I'll say at the moment it's not currently supported, but that's definitely a great idea that we will consider for a future update.
And I did see some questions in there about.
And somebody's also saying, could we hear the real voice if you have that open?
Sure. Let me go back in here into settings and go into student features. I'm going to toggle that to narration, and then I'm going to hit update. And then we'll go back to that reading page there, and I'll click play, and that way you can hear it in a narration voice.
Introduction. From 1775 to 1783, the colonists fought the British to win their independence.
And so that's what it sounds like with a natural voice. The benefit of the computer generated audio is that it'll actually do sentence and word tracking. The benefit, obviously, of the narration voice, if you're K-5, again, that's only K-5, is that it's a human natural voice that you hear. All right. So that is what that feature is, and that is turned on for everybody. Everybody has that normal and slower speed reading available inside your program. The next feature that we'll see on new interactions and accessibility tools is a brand new intuitive overhaul of our drawing tool. And to show you what it looks like, we're going to hop into, I talked about this tug of war lesson when people were doing the what's your favorite activity kind of thing. And as a part of the notebook, if the students do this online, they have a prompt in the preview that they look at an image of students engaged in tug of war. And what the students are supposed to do is they're supposed to pick one of those, and then they're supposed to circle which side they think is going to win. So which side do you all think is going to win, left or the right? Which one do you think would win tug of war, left or right? Throw it in chat. Let's see that real quick. Left. I'm going to start to say left already in there that we see circled. So we've added with this new drawing tool, there are lots of really cool options for formatting. So bold, italicized, you can change the size of the text more easily, change the color, copy. You can move things in front or behind as you would if it were Google Slides or PowerPoint, much easier. There's even keyboard shortcuts, which I love. I'm a big keyboard shortcut kind of guy. And so we've added that ability in there. So this new and updated drawing tool is in all of the programs. So if you had a drawing prompt, an annotation, something before, you will now see that there's a button. And the reason that we did this is so that when they click it, they have a much larger palette to be able to work with instead of that little confined box that we once used. So now they can do that drawing. It's right there. And as a teacher, you have the very same tool that you can use with your students. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. We're going to come back here. We're going to go to our correlations page, which is also brand new in terms of some of the updates that we've made in correlations and how much more transparent it is now to be able to see where things correlate to your state standard. So this is an elementary California program, and it doesn't matter if you are in Ohio or you're in Michigan or you're in the state of Washington, you're going to have a page that will look similar to this. If you open up your sidebar and you click correlations, you'll see your state standards appear in this list right here. What's one of the things that I really love is now you can actually look at the standard, open up a little toggle, and there's a hyperlink at a point of use. So if I click, for example, right here that I want to go to reading section 2 and see how it meets this particular standard right here, I can click on that link. It will open up a brand new tab in my browser. It will take me to that point of use. And I also see with that reading section, it's not just that one standard that's covered. There are other standards that are covered as well. So we've made the correlations more transparent for you, for your students, for whoever's working with the child at home or a student at home, that they'll be able to see those correlations very easily. We've gone through 2 of those interactions after the first one there. So Derek, I'll take a pause again, see if there's any questions on either of those that we should tackle before we keep moving.
At the moment, I'm not seeing anything. I'm just seeing lots of compliments about using correlations for the assignments. So awesome.
Awesome. Well, this one's an easy one as well. Restarting slideshows. So, and this is a perfect use case for when I think back to my time as an 8th grade U.S. history teacher. There were years where I taught multiple bells, multiple sections of just one course. And if I'm doing the same lesson in multiple sections in a row as a teacher using our slide decks, and I'm in a science program here as an example, if I'm doing the investigation with my students in first period, but second period comes in after, I want to be able to model for my students, but I want to be able to model fresh for them in each one of those periods in succession. So that's why the restart is so key. So this is a good example right here. Let's say that we were starting this lesson together, and as a teacher, I was modeling how to be able to answer this prompt in here, and I put in something that's, based on student feedback. It's very profound what the students share with me as an idea or a model answer would be. let's say I go through the lesson, I finish it, first period ends, second period comes in. I don't want them to see this. I want to be able to start fresh. So what you're going to do is you're going to go down to these three dots in the lower right-hand corner of any slide deck. That is your classroom activities. That is the video activities. That is the lesson outlines. If you're a high school teacher and you've got those lesson outlines, anything that uses our slide builders, you just go in and you can click restart slideshow. And what will happen is it will start fresh. It will wipe any of those answers out so that you've got a blank slate that when you go back to, that answer is not there anymore. So it's perfect for those teachers who have multiple sections of the same course. That's what the restart button is. Something simple, but boy, can that make a really big difference for teachers. Let's come back here to our little grid. So the next one is locked slides. I love this. You want to build in some accountability for your students. This is a great one to use for doing that. The ability to do this is now active in every slideshow if you want it. Some of them will already come preloaded with it on video activities if you teach middle or high school social studies. But let me show you the power of it right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in to this lesson slide deck that I have created for a government lesson on chief executives and bureaucracies. And I'm going to go through here. And what I want to see is actually, and I need to turn it on. I had an override. I'll come back to that in just a minute. Let me restart my slideshow myself so that I could show you. I was practicing earlier just so that I could model this for you. Let me show you what this does. All right, now that I've restarted this, do you see that a student cannot move beyond until they have answered these questions? So they've got to come in here and say, well, I think that that's the answer there. And I'm going to say that's the answer there. And oh, I was wrong. So I'll come back. I'll try that one. The answer was D. They can come in here and they can answer the questions. Once they answer each of the questions, and I think there was only 4. No, maybe there was 5. So I'll type in just something right there so that I can do that. And then when I close this out, what we should see then is now it's unlocked. So what you can do is you can actually lock slides so that it prevents students from moving ahead until they have answered the questions that are there. Now, I kind of teased it before because I accidentally had my override turned on, but you can override it. You can just flip a little switch right here where you override those slide conditions. And if you do that, when you restart the slideshow, then you'll be able to move freely through all the slides. It won't stop you from being able to do that. But if you've added slide conditions or you're using a slide deck that has slide conditions, then the students will be locked from progressing until they have completed those tasks. Now, how would you know? How would you know that? So one of the things that you'll see, if I go back to my lesson here, is you'll see on my slideshow, because I create a little custom slide deck right there. You'll see this little symbol. I'll see if I can zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. You'll see these little 3 dots right here that are kind of joined together. That means that there are slide conditions that have been added. Maybe it's something that you want to do. I'm going to model for you because it's not hard at all. I'll model for you the steps right now and show you how to do that. I also want to point out, because some of you are going to freak out that, hey, I'm going to forget that. We have a What's New PD course, and I model this in the course. So you can watch and rewatch that video on this particular feature if you want until you've got it down cold. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to model for you right now. And let's say that I wanted to do that with a classroom activity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first start by opening the slide deck in edit mode. When I open it in edit mode, I'm prompted to go ahead and give it a name. So I'm going to type in just Mr. T, what my students called me when I was a classroom teacher. Just create that really quick. Once I give it a name and it opens up in edit mode, I'll take you through the simple steps of being able to add those slide conditions in. And this one must be a doozy of a lesson. It's taken a little bit for it to open. Here we go. Slides are loading now. And here we go. What you want to do is you want to start by going to the very first slide that has a notebook prompt, whether it's from a button or here where it's off to the side in this section over here. They have to answer these questions. If this is the first instance that I want to add slide conditions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look in the lower left-hand corner down here, and I'll zoom in so that you can see this. You see how it says slide condition 0? For me to add a slide condition to it, I'm going to click that button. When I get this pop-up, I'm going to add a slide condition. And when you do a condition, of course, is an if-then statement. So let's complete the if side, and then we'll do the then side. So if questions are completed from selected slides, or all questions are completed on this slide, and that's probably what most of you would use more often than not, but you do have another option. I'm going to do this one right here. All questions are completed on this slide. And what I want it to do is I want it to keep the students from being able to go to slide 2 until they've done what's on, or I should say slide 3, until they've done what's on slide 2. So I'm going to come over here and complete the then unlock access to the next slide. And so when I select that and I hit save, then the student's progress will be locked only, and here's that symbol again, on slide 2. But maybe I want to copy that. I don't want to have to do all of what Brian just showed me there on every one of those slides. That's kooky talk. There's an easy fix for it. You just come right here on the one that you added a condition for. You click copy, and you can copy that very same action to any of the slides where there are notebook questions. And those are the only ones that will appear. So if I select all, and then I click copy right here, then that slide condition has now been added to all of those instances that students would encounter that. And how can I see it? Well, if I go into present mode here, and let's make sure I've got to turn off the override slide conditions. I'll restart it one more time. What I should see is here I am on slide 2 and I'm locked. I can't move ahead until I go in here and give an attempt for each one of the questions that are there. And that's how slide conditions work. Now, we have started to add them in video activities by default for you. Any of the classroom activities, and it doesn't matter if you're elementary, middle, or high school, we haven't added slide conditions on our end to any of your classroom activity slideshows. But you have that option. You can go in there and you can do that, and you can assign it to your students, and it will prevent them from moving ahead until they complete the questions that are there. Likely, Derek, that we've probably got some questions. So I'll pause right there.
Yeah, so some people were asking if this feature is available for video activities. Yeah, do you want to just quickly answer that, Brian?
Yeah, yes, it is. Any slideshow, it's available for. Anything where a student has to give a response to what we call a notebook prompt, you can assign slide conditions to. Some of the newer video activities, and I would say the ones that we have released for middle school and high school programs, let's say in the last 6 months, we've been doing it by default as we push them out to folks. So you'll probably see more of that happening. But if you do not see, if you're in your lesson overview page and you look at your slide deck and it does not have those 3 little symbols that we saw, then that means that one doesn't have slide conditions added to it. So you would then need to manually do that for yourself if you want. You don't have to. It's just one of those options that you have as a teacher. Any other questions, Derek, before we keep chugging along?
Yeah, we've got one final question. There's a question about the slideshow and the questions around grading. So I think Amber asked in the chat, are the questions graded on the slides?
It depends on what kinds of questions they are. If they're closed-ended questions like multiple choice or fill in the blank or drag and drop, those are all auto-graded. anything that is a closed-ended item, those are always auto-scored online, which is, I would say, about 90% of what you'd see in a video activity are those kinds of questions that students would do. If it is a table prompt, if it is a written response, a typed response, if it is a drawing, like we were looking at that drawing tool, those are not auto graded. Those you would view and grade just like you would on any assignment that you give in TCI. You go in your grade book, you view the student response. We give you a key to be able to measure it against, or a rubric if it's an extended response item, and you'll be able to see a key, but then you score it how you see fit. But auto-scored items are always those closed-ended. All right, so we've got so much to still go over. We've covered restarting slideshows and lock slideshows. Now let's get into a couple new interactions that we have. We've started to roll these out. Not everybody's going to see them yet, but here very shortly you will. This is one of those instances where I need to override my slide deck. This is one of the things I've got to do for myself here. Is I'm going to click on that link one more time so that I can show you 360-degree images. So this is a video activity that we have in our Geography Alive program where students learn about the national parks. I'll be doing a session on video activities the last session of the day. If you want to come to it, please do. But one of the new features that we've added in here are these 360-degree images in some of the video activities, like this here, where we're in the Yosemite National Park, and we've got hotspots even where they can see El Capitan, or they might be able to see a little picture pointing to the sequoias that are way down here. We've got the Half Dome in the background, but just immersive, wonderful, amazing 360-degree images. We have plans to include 360-degree images as a new interaction in all the programs at some point. So this is something to be on the lookout for that you may encounter very, very shortly. Some of you is these 360-degree images that are there. The other that is being rolled out are interactive maps. A good example, and this is one that we've added to all the K-12 social studies programs, is when you go to your maps section of your reference area, you'll see a new item at the very top of the list there on using an interactive map. With this little tool, if you wanted to show students how to be able to read and use an interactive map, including various tools like elevation profiles and distance measuring tools, the ability to be able to zoom in and see different layers depending on what's there in the interactive map. We've got a tutorial that you can use, including videos that show how to use each of these ArcGIS tools that we've started to embed. So this is a map that if you teach social studies, and it doesn't matter what grade, everyone has in your program right now. But we've also started to include more dramatic interactive maps even in our video activities that have content-rich layers. I'll give you just a mind-blowing one right here that we've put in a geography lesson on dealing with extreme weather, where they're learning about hurricanes and how they form. One of the live maps that we put in here, and I say live map because this is in real time, they can zoom in and they can see the most recent storms that have struck around the world. So if I click in live detail here, I can get information about the disturbances or tropical storm or hurricane that's there, including elements that will give me information about its severity, especially if I open up my answer key. It'll tell me what the observed track was so that I can see how that storm hit and then with what kind of wind force it hit with. So we're starting to put in some really amazing maps that we've been able to cull from what ArcGIS has available that fit best at a point of use for students. You'll start to see them first in video activities, but like 3D and 360-degree interactions, everyone will start to see them at some point. So those are all the new interactions and accessibility tools Derek, any questions on those interactions before I continue? I think Derek's probably answering one of y'all's questions, which is just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and return. So bucket 2 or 3, we've got bucket 2 or 3 that's left. That is the new assignable content and streamlined grading. So I see a lot of 3s, a lot of 3s, a lot of 2s. I think I see more 3s than 2s. So let's do streamlined grading, and let's talk about grading, what's changed and what's being rolled out here very shortly. So the first one, very simple, but again, can be pretty dramatic, and that is hiding answers from students' results on assessments. I had this kid named Matt Merkel that I taught. And if I gave a test, 8th grade, now I taught 8th grade social studies. If I gave a test the first period where Matt Merkel was, for sure, by lunch, half of his friends know exactly what's on the test and what the right answers were. And this all predates the internet, but the internet really hasn't changed some of that. Students like to tell others what's on their upcoming test. Well, this is a way that we can prevent a little bit of that. So I'm in our America's Past program here. And let's say that I sign in as Christy Sanders and take a test. So I'm going to take a very short quiz right here that Mr. Thomas has assigned. So if I go in and I take this 3-question test right here, so overthrowing one government and replacing it with another, I think that's a revolution. The Continental Army was made up of, I know that they were made up of volunteers. And then I'm going to put something profound that's going to blow Mr. Thomas away right there. And then I'm ready to go ahead and turn in my test. Now, before I click yes, turn in, one of the things that we've added is the ability for you as a teacher to turn off the ability to see the answer key for students. So when I click turn in here, we're going to see what Christy would see as a student on her end. What she would still see her score. She would see if she got something correct or incorrect, which we know she answered those first 2 items correct, but maybe she answered one of those incorrect. There would not be an answer key here. She would not be able to tell somebody, hey, it's the answer is going to be revolution, or the answer is going to be volunteers, because of the randomization that we have in the program and the ability for you to have this. You can prevent students from just sharing what the answer key is for the assessment. So how do you do it? So let me go back and I'm going to show you. It's really, 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 really simple. So I'm going to go back to the assignment that I made for this assessment. Go to your assignments. When you create a test, all of you always encounter this page when you get ready to assign a test, where you have to give not only the who, but the when. And what I want you to focus in is this area right here on this little optional area. You'll see 2 buttons that are there, and you choose. You don't have to do this. One of them will randomize answer choices. So if you give a multiple choice test and you don't want an A to be on the same A for every student that's there, and you want B's to be different for different students, make sure that you check that. Well, here's the one that we've been talking about. Show answer key on student results. Do you want them to see the answer key? Give it a check. If you don't, leave it unchecked. And then when you assign it, your students will have the same experience that we just saw right there. And that is what that one is. Very simple, very profound, very powerful. All right, so let me close that and let's come to the next one, which is the updated grades page. Now, Derek, can you remind me, when does this get turned on for everybody?
I think so. Actually, right now, if you were to go in as a teacher, you could opt in and get to this page as kind of like an early experience. But I think we are turning it on for everybody sometime in mid-August, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very, very, very shortly. The biggest change that you're going to see is a a, a big cleanup. Before, anytime that you went to a lesson on your grades page, you already had columns set up for things, even if you didn't assign them. So things like a lesson game or, the reading, the notebook, those already had columns there, even if you hadn't assigned it to your students. Now, with assigned-based grading and this new grades page here, the only columns that will appear are the ones that you've assigned for that particular lesson. So I'm in first period here, and we've got a lesson on the Shang Dynasty, and these are the things that I have assigned those students. The other overhauls that you're going to see is the little key that we use to show things that are in progress versus turned in, or none of them have a low result here, but if they had a low result and they weren't in progress, they would be red. So we've got a color code at the very bottom down here so that you know what these dots represent. Turned in progress, low score, not assigned. You get a lot of detail just at a point of glance, just by mousing over those dots that are there or on the assignment itself. So it's a redesigned page. It's much more teacher friendly. When you think about your grade book and what you want to see, the same functions that you had before are not lost. So for example, if I needed to go in and see, all right, Boo Boo Bear here has started to work on this lesson game, I want to be able to go in and see how they're answering the questions that are there. And I can see those responses as they go through. So none of the functionality in terms of what you're doing with the grades has changed. It's the look, it's the ease of use that is changing, and certainly the overall look for you as a teacher when you're looking at your grades page itself. Now, this also impacts the students. So, for example, if I log in here as Boo Boo Bear as a student, that's what that little key icon is. Don't forget that. What I should see is when I go to my grades page, I'll also see a redesign here of the grades. So I now have a kind of a table for myself as a student where I can see those assignments, see my progress or score. And if a teacher has provided a comment or a feedback, like a stamp, or they've written something to me, I've got a little speech bubble that I can click and I can get additional information about what that teacher has shared with me right there at a point of use. So lots of really great visual improvements and certainly much more user friendly for you as a teacher. Any questions on that? Derek, anything that's coming in there?
Let's see. Got some feedback that the page is much cleaner. Nice. And I think there was a question earlier around somebody who had mentioned if these changes can be delayed. So I can quickly answer that. So
Right.
this is an opt-in feature. So basically what I mean by that is we're not going to transition everybody to this feature until kind of like, I don't know the specific date, but I think it's kind of towards the end of 2025 where, this will be the default experience. So there will be some time for teachers to kind of opt out, and Brian's showing you the page right now. If you go into settings and click that opt out button, it will take you back to the classic grades page. Obviously, we don't recommend it. Like we want you to guys really try out this new grades page. It is a much better experience, but I know sometimes, it may be disruptive and yeah. So yeah, there was
Awesome.
that question.
All right. All right, so let's go back. I think we're done with bucket 3. That means that only leaves bucket 2, and that's good because that's a quick one to be able to go over, but really important because bucket 2 is all about the new assignable content that we've added in programs. So when you, whoops, what I did there. There we go. Now that's bucket 2. So we have in your reference section, I'll go live here and show you in just a moment, but in your reference section, everybody has access to a variety of different libraries, a potpourri of libraries from maps to civics to career profiles, especially with the science program. Those are amazing. If you teach career and tech ed, or you want to encourage that for students and you're teaching or using Bring Science Live, you got to go in and take a look at the biographies and the career profiles there that we have for science. They're amazing. So we have these libraries that are there, and we've started to add new ones, but we've also done some new things with these libraries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an example. We're going to go ahead and we're going to see it live right now. I'm going to go into our program on middle school U.S. history, U.S. through industrialism, and you can see that it opened up my sidebar here, and I'm down in the reference section, and I have the civics library open. These are citizenship toolkit items that are here. A lot of us in different states around the country have specific, sometimes they're not even standards requirements. They may actually be built in state legislation that you have to do certain things with your students. And some of those items that are in the library here can really be a game changer for you. So for example, if I'm supposed to use or teach citizenship, even though this is a US history class, I'm supposed to do something with citizenship here. I've got a variety of different options that I could use that are all around the topic of citizenship. This is an example, being a good citizen, where I've got a short reading, and following the reading, I also have notebook prompt questions, and all of this is assignable. When you see that little calendar icon, anywhere you see the calendar icon, that's exactly what it means. You can assign that to your student. And this one even includes a printable PDF. So if it's your preference to have your students do it with paper and pen versus online, you've got a printable PDF. Now, not all of them have that, but if you see a button there, that's exactly what that means. All of them are assignable. And if you teach social studies, K-12, everybody's got a brand new library, and that is the Econ library. Again, kinder all the way through 12th grade, you've got an additional library that's there. And we already saw something from the maps library earlier on using an interactive map. And if I switch over and I show a science program, I talked about those career profiles. I love them. They're like one of my favorite things in the program is when the students go through and they do an investigation and they act as marine biologists, they get an opportunity to go in and look at a career profile and learn what does a marine biologist do? So anything that's in the library, it's now assignable. You can assign those to your students. Many of them, most of them actually will have some sort of a reading and prompt to go with, and some of them will even be printable that you can use with your students. So that is the new content that is available for you to use as a teacher. All right, so let's bring it home. Well, to bring it home, I went over a lot of stuff. Everything I went over in here, it's in our What's New course for the fall of 25. So if you open up your TCI program and you go to professional development and you think, Brian went over those conditional actions, and that was like, went over my head. I need to see that step by step. I need to watch that video like 20 times. You can do it right here. It's in here. So we've got everything that I just covered. It's all in that course itself. We always strive to keep pushing boundaries and keep working. And when I made this slide deck weeks ago, some of this was under construction, yellow tape and everything. There's actually one item here, folks, that's no longer under construction. It's live, and it's this one right here. So I want to leave you with a couple of just like mind-blowing things. First, let me show you this new translation tool. Now, many of you probably know that you can always toggle between English and Spanish as a teacher or student using your sidebar down here. And if you're in Spanish, it's not just some Google translation. It is hand translation, done the correct way for Spanish. However, we know that there are many teachers out there that have a variety of students who have language needs that aren't Spanish. Well, we've added a new tool and it is a translation tool that's built inside the app itself. So when you're on a reading page, highlight a portion of text, and do you see this right here? So I'm going to click on translate the text, and I'm going to pick, let's say I'm going to pick German in here. Cincinnati has a rich German heritage. So maybe we would hear that around here. And then if I click play, guess what?
Anfang der 2000er Jahre traf Hurrikan Ivan die Karibikinsel Grenada. Es war absolut furchtbar, sagte eine Bewohnerin. Die Windböen erreichten über 230 Stunden.
So what an amazing tool. And I love that it does sentence tracking, similar to how we do the main idea viewer and how we do our text to audio itself in-house. So again, Spanish, the best experience is always going to be just use that universal toggle down there at the bottom. But if your students need a different language, and Derek, I saw somebody asked, can we add additional languages? And I saw Pashto was mentioned, and I know Haitian Creole is very important in Florida. How would they go about letting us know that they would want other Google translated languages suggested? How would you suggest they suggest that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we always kind of consider requests that are sent over to the info@teachtci.com email. Our customer support team does a really great job of like tracking all those metrics of like how many people are requesting this and stuff like that. So definitely for sure utilize the info@teachtci.com email. Even if it's a short one, you could also, instead of sending an email, if you go to that little help center icon at the top right, Brian, on the TCI website, there is a little feedback option right there. And if you click on it, you could just, quickly type in, hey, I don't see Creole as this language option. Could you guys consider it? And yeah, it gets sent over to us on the product team and we could track it there really easily. So yeah.
And I did see a comment just to you and I that somebody's in on their app right now. They don't see it live on their end. So I know it's live for TCI staff, and I think this one's going live tomorrow for them.
I believe so. I think right now we are just doing some final test runs for this, but I would need to double check. It may be available for just certain copyright programs, but I can't recall off the top of my head because there are so many different products that we have made updates to.
But it's coming one way or the other. It's
For
coming.
sure,
Folks.
it's coming.
Yeah, you'll have it in there. Awesome. So let's go back to our slide deck. The other thing that's going to be coming very soon, we'll starting to have 3D objects also as an interaction option. This is a kind of a sneak peek at just one portion of a video activity that we're going to have in a world history lesson for high school on globalization, where students have a chance to be able to spin around a cargo container ship and an individual cargo container as they learn about it and they learn about its role that those two items play in globalization. So that's something to keep an eye out for too. There's so many opportunities in science for really great three-dimensional objects. We're really excited. We're always on the lookout to be able to, again, like I said, keep pushing the boundaries of what is possible with students. The other is, and I think this one's also close to being going live for everyone. I can't show you this one live on my end here because I would have to leave Zoom to be able to set all this up. But if a student needed the ability to have a speech to text where they dictate, we do have that option now for Mac and PC and Chromebooks. That option is now available for students to be able to dictate text and have it right on screen. So if a student is differently abled and they need to have that as an accommodation, that will now be a possibility that's built into TCI's platform. So those are some of the things that are under construction and coming. Again, don't forget that we're going to make sure that we support you in all of these things, in all these different ways. at TCI. Don't forget about that professional development course that you can take on what's new. And don't forget about the other options that you have about getting deeper into TCI. A lot of you in here are returning TCI users. I want to make sure that you're aware that we have a coaches program. So if you're in a place of leadership, or you want to be in a place of leadership in your district and help to support and coach other teachers in your district on how to use TCI, we actually have a course and we have a program that you can join about being a coach. And so that's one of the options that you have. Just as you're getting ready to leave and go out the door, reflect, if you will, on your experience in today's session. Comment in the chat, explain why you picked the emoji. What's your reaction? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And with that being said, as you're doing so, once you do that, you can go ahead and mosey on to second period, which is going to start at 1:15 my time Eastern, which would be what, 10:15 Pacific is when second period is going to start. So thank you, everyone. Derek, thank you for being a great pal and manning those Q&A questions for me.
Of course, no problem.
Next up, period 2. These are all the sessions that you all can go to. When you're ready, just leave the webinar, go back to where you were before, join the next session. You've got lots of choices that are there. We think you're going to love it. Take care, everyone.